So yesterday, I used my disabled person's bus pass, or bus and a train. I didn't actually know it was bus and train. I thought it was just a bus, but it's actually bus and train and tram as well, which is really good because it means that I actually can go places now. I felt like before I just didn't have any incentive to, and have it, and therefore I hadn't. I don't know when I last walked through town. I don't know when I last did anything really, because I don't have any incentive to leave the house, and other than to go to the spa. But yeah, woohoo, I have the same privileges that the raping migrants get, because apparently they get free bus passes too. But anyway, I thought I wanted to add that in. But yes, I did out of interest to see how bad it was to actually go to the gym, to this spa place. I don't actually use the gym. I just go straight into the jacuzzi. But how hard it is to do it via bus, and it was pretty bad. Like I wanted to leave at 3 minutes past 2. The next bus wasn't until 16 minutes past, but it said it was 5 minutes late, so it was going to get here at 22 minutes past. And I was thinking, well, if I leave the house at 3 minutes past 2, I would probably actually be at the gym by about 25 past. So yeah, I have to wait like 20 minutes. And that's 25 minutes is how long it takes to get to or I probably can actually do it in a bit less than 25 minutes. Sometimes I've done it in 22 minutes. But yeah, I thought I would try this bus, so I went. I waited 10 minutes and then walked down. I didn't know how long it takes to walk to the bus stop, about 4 minutes, but I left 10 minutes. But that meant that I had to like stand at the bus stop for 6 minutes. And, Nichols is not a nice area. You're looking around, you see all these people that look like gangsters mixed with people who look like Islamic people. And there's a lot of people wearing more and more religious garments as well. And you feel unsafe. And the bus again was 5 minutes late, so I didn't actually wait 6 minutes. I actually ended up waiting about 11 minutes, which was not pleasant, and it was annoying to think that if I had have just got on the bike and gone, I would have been there by now. But yes, then there was a 15-minute journey into town. It does a little bit of a sort of loop, and there was a little bit of traffic here, so I could have cycled it in 10. It took 15 minutes, and then I had to like walk from. Well, I kind of actually wanted to walk to the station because I wanted to find out if I can use bus and train. So I did walk to the station, but that was a horrible walk. Walking around Birmingham is not nice, and I don't know why it's so much bad now. Like I remember a few months ago they had like adverts to join the British Army, and I was thinking that's a bit silly because no one here looks like they would fight the British Army. But then I kind of realised that Tommy was brought up in a sort of Islamic area, but by him not feeling the same as all these Islamic people, he actually probably would have wanted to fight more because of being in that kind of area. So then I was kind of like, actually, it's probably a good idea that you have this here. Why? Because if there are people who are not happy with this situation that we're in and this sort of growing Islamic group and the fact that everyone looks like foreigners or people look like they're from Africa, but it's like they're from Africa because they speak in a different language, and I don't know, there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of white people who are old and look like they're not fighting aged, and then there's a lot of people that look like liberals. Oh yeah, the more the merrier. I don't mind. Let Islam in. It's very lovely. They let me. I know some Islamic people, and they let me not cover my hair. So they think that that's kind of how it is, and they don't realise that actually. You bring the ones that don't mind you not covering your hair, but along with that comes their uncles and their aunties and the other people who do think that women need to cover their hair. And then the next thing you know, you're forced to be covered your hair and you're forced to turn into a slave because of the friends that they have. So you might know some Islamic people that don't mind you not covering, but there are other people that they're friends with who do want all women to cover and want the women's rights to be taken away from them because this is God's will or whatever. I don't know what brainwashing that they believe. I think they're used to being like animals. I think there's a huge number of people who were animals in their past life and they're still thinking like farm animals. Farm animals are controlled by the farmers. They sleep with who they are told to by the farm's animals. They're impregnated every single year. So getting pregnant every single year is just part of part of the animal culture. And if there's lots of people in England living in their first or second life, they're still going to be thinking in the same way as animals. And the reason why there are so many first time alive people who are having their first life is because a lot of people have lots and lots of kids, and the more kids you have, the more souls need to go into these bodies. And if all the intelligent ones are less, if there's not enough intelligent souls, and I'm thinking about doing a page about this next to try and explain why the society is crumbling and crumbling fast. But a few months ago I saw these adverts for the army, and I was thinking that's probably actually a good idea, because there probably are a handful of people amongst this crowd that really don't support the takeover of Islam. But I've noticed there's none now. It was a small walk to the station from the bus stop, probably about, it's actually 10 minutes. It's actually quite a long time, because you have to go through that. I don't know, it's when you're walking, things suddenly become a lot slower. When you're on a bike, you kind of just whiz past it, you feel safe, everyone has to keep a slight distance from you because you're on a bike. I feel safe on a bike so long as you're not drunk. There's some drunk people that come a bit too close, so I kind of avoid them. But mostly, when you're on a bike, you have to have a distance around you, and I actually feel much safer going through town on a bike. And I can't remember the last time I've really walked through town, but yeah, because I went on bus, you have to walk it, and so, but yeah. And anyway, I got on. I found out that I could go on the tram, so I went on the tram. First time I've ever been on the tram. There's actually one time I've ever been on a tram, which was when I did a big long journey to Wolverhampton, and I don't think I would really use it again, because it just took a very long time. But now that it's free, I might be more tempted to use it. But yeah, the final stop. It's 5 stops to where from the station. It's actually only 3 stops. Probably 2 stops from the station. It's about 5 stops from where I got off on the bus, and it's 5 stops to where my gym is. And the tram actually goes straight there, but it does kind of like a loop round, so it goes all the way down this hill and then an up, and then it kind of goes round the back. And it does go there, but it goes very, very slowly, because there's lots of people crossing over the road, and there's lots of drunk people crossing over the road, so the tram has to go very, very slowly. So if you're going by bike, you can actually go at a much faster speed, because you don't have to worry about, you do have to worry about the drunks, but they're easier to avoid than being in a tram. A tram has to avoid, it's harder for a tram to avoid the drunks than a bike to avoid the drunks. But yeah, and then the last stop, though, it actually for the next month they're only going to go to where the library is. So there was one more stop that I could have gone, but the trams weren't going, so I only went like 2 stops. But yeah, it kind of made me realize that it's so bad. Like when you're walking from that station, you feel like you're going to be mugged. You feel like someone, a pickpocket is going to take something out of your pocket, and I realized how bad it is. And I'm wondering if that advert, that join the army advert, has literally just taken all the people that might have been on my side. Like I was thinking, if a civil war breaks out in Birmingham, I don't know who it would be against, because it just feels like everyone in here is either from a different land, hence they're not going to be fighting to get rid of the illegal immigrants, because most of them probably are illegal immigrants. I feel like you've been letting lots of people in for a holiday, and then they've just decided to stay, and that's the reason why. It's not the boats that are bringing people in illegally. The boats are the ones that are probably bringing in the most dangerous ones, because they're the ones that are too poor to be able to afford a 50p. To get on one of those easy jets, it's about £50-60 to get in here, and okay, you need to show your passport, but if you haven't caused any problems on your passport, then how are you supposed to know that these people are dangerous? Maybe the people who come by boat have come because they know that their passport wouldn't work, and they would the people on the plane that check the passports would know that these people are probably here to try and settle and find work. So but yeah, I bet there's loads of people that are just going on holiday and then find that they never leave. But I don't know. I was just wanting to say that I was walking through town, and I didn't feel like, if there was a civil war to break out versus the British people versus the foreigners, I don't think there would be anyone on the British people's side, because I didn't really see anyone that looked British other than the sort of 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds who looked like they were too old to be able to fight. So if there was a civil war to be broken out in Birmingham, I think it would be between the sort of black gangs and the Asian gangs. So it would turn into a race war, and that's pretty much what happens all over the Middle East. You've got Asian gangs and black gangs that kind of it's like sparrows and bluebirds. They're just fighting amongst each other, and so yeah, but I'm wondering if maybe that advert to try and like suck up all the people who want to fight for England, maybe that has literally just sucked up all the people, the odd good ones, or I mean, the odd ones that would be on my side, the English people's side. And I don't even know what English means any longer, because England does not look like England. Birmingham does not. I got a sense of safeness, a sense of niceness, and this was only about 3 years ago, and it's completely gone now. I think my depression has just been getting worse and worse, so I've made less attempts to go into town, and if I have gone into town, it's literally just to go to the market, and then I think it's because of the cycling. I feel so much safer when cycling than I do, because you get on the bike, you go from A to B, you see the people, you kind of whiz past them, and then it's fine, and anyway, on the way back, have an even bigger problem because it's dark now. It gets dark at around 6:30. So, and because I leave the gym at the spa at about 7:30, it's dark, and then so you have to walk to where the tram is, get on the tram. Okay, that once you've got on the tram, it's fine, but it's very slow. You know, you see all sorts of drunk people and just people that could be there's a lot of pickpockets, you can imagine, and so you have to sit on that all the way up to where the stop is to get onto the bus, and then you have to find the bus stop, and the bus stop is where the tramp area is, so there's all these sort of free stalls to give out money, to give out food and coffee and baskets of stuff to the homeless. But this is all just dragged, you know. When they're not there, it's fine, but when they are there, you really do feel like it's not a nice area. All the shops in that area have closed down. I think they closed it down because of some sort of maintenance work, but I don't know if it's because they said the building's unsafe. But yeah, ever since that building's come down, it's made me realise that all the other shops have come down too. So it's like, was it really because that it's unsafe, or the building's unsafe, or do you think it's more because the people are unsafe? You know, and they're just trying to be like, oh no, the people aren't that bad. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking that this might be actually to do with a people problem rather than a building problem. But yes, and then the buses after 8 o'clock, well, up to 8:30, they go every half an hour. And so yeah, I had a 20-minute wait at that bus stop. I went into the one shop that's open, the Sainsbury's, but yeah, and then it was just annoying though. It was annoying to sit at that bus stop. After I did that, I sat at the bus stop for about 11 minutes, and it was annoying to just think, you know what, I'm about a 12-minute cycle away. If I had my bike, I could just get on my bike, cycle home, and be done with this. And so I don't think I'll be using the bus, or the tram was quite nice, but I know that the tramps in the area like to pop tire wheels, so you can't put a bike near one of the trams. So I was thinking maybe I could like cycle to where the tram is, get on the tram, and that would be fine. But it's you can't, because the tram, twice I parked outside this Poundland, and I found my tire has popped. Or flattened, and I don't know why, but the second time it happened, I noticed that someone else had that same thing happen to them, and so I was wondering that maybe a tramp had just come along and popped both of them just for the hell of it, and so I don't mind parking my bike out there for 10 minutes, but I don't want to be parking my bike out there and then getting on the tram, going the 5 stops, which is kind of like a little bit of a ring round, and it goes very slowly. You know, I don't want to park my bike there, because I'll come back 3 hours later and find that my wheel's gone, and perhaps other things have been stolen. Maybe my bell's stolen. I had a crap light that was only like a Poundland light, and it kind of broke, so I used a bit of sellotape to put it together. But that got stolen there as well. But I didn't care. It wasn't a good light, so I was kind of wanting people to steal it so that I could actually bother to get a new one. But yeah, it's not, you can't leave your bike there, and I'm thinking, where else can I leave it? I can't really, so don't think I'll be using it. I might be using I would use the bus pass to go elsewhere. Apparently I think I can even go to Coventry on this bus pass, so I wanted to go to Coventry, but it's just when you have to pay like £8 to get there, you just feel like, why would I go all the way to Coventry just to see all the empty shops and to see how much it's fallen? You know, apparently £10 million got spent on it 5 years ago, or 2001, so 4 years ago. And I remember going there and seeing all this pavements done, and you know they were putting a huge amount of work on making the pavements look nice, and I was just thinking, I wish they could have done this to Birmingham, because the Birmingham pavements are falling apart. But then I could kind of walk around Birmingham and just think, you know what, this isn't really, these aren't nice people, you know, that there's something about this Birmingham class that is just very low standard people, and not, they don't seem intelligent, and you know, a lot of them just seem like robots, whether it be Islamic or not. You know, that they all seem like, if I was to try and guess like how many lives a lot of these have, you know, I do think most of them are in their first lives, maybe second, maybe third, but it's all in the first three. And you know, when I'm walking around, I feel like I'm reminded of lots of farm animals, like maybe these were what they were in their past life. I know it's horrible to say that, but I like to get a sense of what people are like and who they were. And you know, when you're doing it through a bike, you can do it quite quickly, but when you're walking, you actually feel almost unsafe just to walk through town. So yeah, I think I'm going to be sticking to my bike. I'm going to be sticking to my bike, and but yeah, I will. This will tempt me to want to leave the house more, because I can go places and see around. So. But I don't know why I would be wanting to see it around. I don't know where I'll be going, but I'm wondering if that's just what's happened, that the army has put out some sort of advert to try and get the ones that want to fight against this, and it's just taken them out of Birmingham. Like they're not in Birmingham any longer, so there's no point of advertising for the army any longer in Birmingham, because I don't think there's anyone left that would fight for the English people. And I've seen that Habibi, or the politician that Tommy Robinson is seemingly supporting, he seems to have been banned from GB News, which seems strange, because GB News is actually very anti-Islamic. I thought GB News was very anti-Islamic, and this guy was supposed to be anti-Islamic, but he does seem too much like he's anti-Islamic, but he seems very much in favour of fixing things through paperwork and through laws rather than through aggression and violence. And I think we're way past that. We're way past the whole sorting things out through paperwork. You know, paperwork will not fix this. This is absolute war, and we've completely been taken over. And I don't even know where my people are. I do not know where the British people are any longer, because they're not in England. They're not in Birmingham, and I don't know. I'm tempted to want to leave. I was looking at properties in the south, and I was thinking, you know, maybe if I sell the second Birmingham house that we've got and then buy somewhere near my sister or something, that way I won't feel so tied here. Like right now I feel tied to Birmingham because we've got two properties here. I need to manage this one, and I'm living here. If I start moving out, how am I going to manage that property? And I think if I sold it and then gone and bought a property somewhere in near Hawley, you know, that's our joint property. Both me and my sister own it. So if we sold it and then maybe bought something, we'd have to buy something a little bit more expensive. And I've seen what we've got. We would get something half the size. You know, for a 3-bedroomed house in Birmingham, you would only get a 1-bedroom. You can get a 1-bedroomed house. I've seen a 1-bedroomed house, which is just like one giant room downstairs, and then a giant room downstairs with a kitchen attached, and then a giant room upstairs. I've seen that for £190. So for the same price, we can get something half the size in the south. And I don't know when you're going to come and help me move to America, because I'm hoping to move out of here, but. I don't know, but I'm tempted to actually just go with something like that, because I like having two properties, because I feel like one is kind of like a pension. I'm not earning any money other than the PIP that I do not trust the government any longer. So I feel like this PIP might not. I don't want to rely on PIP. I need to rely on PIP because I'm not making enough money from this property that we're renting out, and I can't pay for the things that I need through that. But yeah, if I sold it and then bought somewhere in Hawley, at least I won't feel so attached to this property. So after I've done that, then maybe I can sell my property and move. But the problem is, this is so much nicer, you know. This house and this spot, I like the sunbathing spot. I was looking through all the properties, and I didn't see any house that had a sunbathing spot. I suppose there's some that might have had, you could have like knocked down half the wall and put in a proper window, but I didn't know if it was south facing. It needed to be south facing. So, but yeah, I'm getting to the point now where I hate Birmingham so much that I really want to leave. But I am worried that if I try and sell the property now, it might not get as much as I was hoping for, because I feel like that the housing market in Birmingham is completely false and a lie. But if I'm buying somewhere else, okay, yes, this is a false housing market price, but then the next place that I buy is a false housing market, but at least I'll be out of Birmingham. I'm feeling more and more of a need to get out of Birmingham, because I'm not happy here, but at the same time I like having, you know, a living room, a separate kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and a garden as well. You know, I feel like this is exactly what I want. I just want it somewhere. Okay, I want a bigger house and stuff, but if this is all I can get, this is exactly what I want. I just want it further south. I moving is very expensive, and I'm really hoping that it's not going to be so much longer. I don't believe that the politicians aren't aware that England has been destroyed. If the politicians are not aware that multiculturalism has completely destroyed England and the English culture and the English way of life and the English people's safety, you know, if they don't realise this, then they need to get the fuck out of the government. But I think they're all pretending that it's fine, just because you can't start a war with Islam by telling them that you're going to start a war. Why? Because that they will see that as you know, that's it. We need to start attacking the British people and just start murdering people on the streets. You know, when that war declaration is said, you know, the Islamic people would become very, very hostile, because they would say this is our chance to. It's almost like everyone in England, or everyone in Birmingham particularly. Not in Birmingham, actually. Everyone in England is just kind of waiting for this thing to kick off, but there's so many people that are just completely ignorant, have no clue what's around the corner. Majority of people have no clue what's going on around England, and I think there are a few that are seeing it, but they're the ones that are looking online and just seeing attack after attack after attack, Islamic hatred, and we're realizing that actually this is very serious. But yeah, there's some that are just like, oh, it's all negativity, I don't want to listen to it, you know. People like my mum that are just remaining blind to everything, and just, you know, they can't even remember does my mum even realise that this England is no longer what it was 20 years ago? I don't think so. I mean, my mum lives in a complete dump. Her flat is just boxes everywhere. I don't know how anyone could live like that. She doesn't live like a person. She lives like a farm animal. And I think there's so many people that do live like a farm animal, and I think they wouldn't notice anything, because they don't even notice how messy their own place looks. So you know, they're not going to see anything. They're just going to see whatever, you know, her thinking that she's going to be put in prison for saying, "Are you happy now?" to a guy that's stolen her grandkids. You know, she generally thinks that that's like the biggest problem in England or in her life. Just, you know, there's so many people that are like that, but there's got to be smarter souls that realise that England has totally fallen apart, and I don't even know how it's fallen so fast. But I know that there is a solution. There is a solution. You tell people about the Galactic Federation. You tell people that I'm an alien or from a different place, and that I can prove through my life that we're living in a matrix, and that I've been talking to something through time and space on Facebook. And you show the proof, you show how many films link to me, you show how many songs link to me. First of all, you just say the songs are all about me, and maybe you just leave it for a year, because I need time to heal. So maybe that should be you. I don't know, I thought you were going to come to me now, so that I can get the interviews that I want, but maybe you're going to come to me in April instead. And then I spend 3 months getting the interviews that I want, and then exposing who I am, and then waiting until 2027 to actually start exposing the names of the angels, you know. I think there should be two stages. One where you just say that the songs link to me and you show how many songs link to me. Okay, it will look like some songs link to me and some songs don't, because that's how it was for me for many, many years, for about 7 years or 8 years even. It felt like some songs linked to me and other songs didn't, so I was just very confused as to what you were doing. Why were you making some songs that were obviously about me and then doing other songs that seemed to have nothing to do with me or just seemed to insult me? I was very confused about that. So maybe you should just say that all songs link to me, expose the songs that do link to me, expose the things that do link to me, and then just say that most of them do, and then allow people to kind of get a view on me based on what songs they like. If there's some songs that are just like, she's a maniac, if you think, oh yeah, she's a maniac, oh, that's talking about Anna, yeah. But if you think she's a man-eater, which I kind of am, people will listen to whatever songs they want and have their own opinion on me, but I want to heal and remain, so maybe that's what's going to happen. But I really I don't want to be in England during the winter. But anyway, it is getting colder now, definitely getting colder, but I don't know. This bus pass that I have allows me to go anywhere in England, actually. I think it's any just trains in Midlands or any bus in so my winter's going to be better because of that, but I can't use it to go to the spa. I could use it to go to Solihull, but I know the bus takes about an hour and 20 minutes to get to the Solihull, the Solihull spa, because the buses are so slow, so much traffic everywhere. And I could go to Tamworth one. I think there's a bus to Tamworth, and I think I'll be able to take that one. So the Tamworth used to be part of my membership, and now that the Tamworth has gone up a level, I might have to pay £5 extra to be able to go to that one, but I might do that.